Preaching 70 years old is a milestone that I confess I never imagined would come so quickly. It feels like just yesterday I was in my 20s, full of energy plans and dreams, and suddenly I find myself waking up in a body that changes every day, carrying memories that span decades. Life changes, priorities do too, and over the years I've noticed something curious about myself. I started avoiding people. This wasn't typical of me. I've always been very social, surrounded by friends and family, participating in events, helping in the community, and being that person everyone could rely on. But at some point, something shifted. At first, I thought it was just me, but now I see it might be more common than I had imagined. Let me explain why time. My dear ones has become more precious. Every moment is unique, and as we age, we realize we can't afford to waste it. It's a wisdom that only comes with years. Energy isn't the same either, and I've learned that it's better spent on what truly matters: peace, authenticity, and genuine connections. As I approached 70, I noticed I preferred being with fewer people, those who truly bring light to my life. I no longer have patience for superficiality or negativity. I've come to value my own company, my moments of introspection, and even silence, which for me is a form of healing and renewal. This doesn't mean I'm sad or isolated. On the contrary, it's a conscious choice to live with more wisdom and fewer distractions if you're experiencing something similar. Know that you're not alone. There's a special beauty in rediscovering yourself and embracing what truly matters. When you reach 65, it takes on a meaning it never had before. It's not just the ticking of the clock or the turning of calendar pages. It's the realization so clear now that time is not infinite. When we're young, time feels like an endless river flowing toward a horizon. We can't see like many. I wasted hours in empty conversations, relationships that went nowhere, and tasks that brought little joy or purpose back. Then it didn't seem to matter today. Every moment is a gift, a miracle. I don't want to waste time. For me is no longer just a number, it's a constant companion. Canon, sometimes gentle when it allows me to savor the warmth of a cup of coffee at sunrise, and sometimes harsh when it reminds me of life's fragility. Now I prefer to sit and listen to the sound of leaves beneath my feet. During a walk, feel the wind on my face, or simply reflect in my favorite chair while memories dance through my mind. I've discovered it's not about how full your schedule is or how many people surround you. It's about the depth of experience, expenses, and the meaning of connections over the years. I have become protective of my time. It is irreplaceable. When we are young, we always think there will be a tomorrow to correct mistakes, reclaim friendships, or chase dreams. But maturity teaches us that tomorrows are limited. However, this doesn't sadden me. On the contrary, it brings me clarity. Today, I say no, without guilt, to what does not serve my heart. I choose solitude when I need it without apology. It's not that I value relationships any less. In fact, I value them more than ever. But I want them to be true. I prefer an honest conversation over a crowd of unfamiliar faces. Time has also taught me to let go. I've released regrets for moments I wasted and let go of resentments that once seemed so important. I've learned there's no need to rush. The best parts of life are not in the grand achievements, but in the small pleasures. A warm breeze, a hearty laugh. The melody of a beloved song at 65 time is no longer something I chase. It's something I savor. This shift has brought a peace I never imagined possible, not because I fear it will end, but because I finally understood how precious it is. And this, to me, is the greatest blessing life could offer. Relationships over the years, they change in ways we don't always imagine. Some deepen, strengthened by shared memories and mutual understanding, while others quietly disappear like a book we set aside and never open again. At 65, I've learned that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and that's okay. When I was younger, relationships were everything to me. I surrounded myself with friends, colleagues, neighbors, and acquaintances, always trying to maintain connections and be part of something bigger. I was the one who remembered every birthday, showed up at every event, and did my best to please others. But over time, I realized how draining it was to maintain connections that didn't always return. The same care life has a natural way of pruning the branches of our social tree. People change, take different paths, or simply drift away. Some relationships end with pain. Others just fade over time. At first, I took these losses personally, wondering what I could have done to keep them today. I understand that each person has their own path. Some enter your life for a reason, others for a season, and a few to stay for a lifetime. Learning to recognize this difference has brought tremendous peace to my heart. But it's not just others who change. We change too. At 65, I am no longer the same person I was at 40 or 50. My priorities have shifted today. I value simplicity, kindness, and authenticity more than ever. I no longer have patience for drama or relationships that demand more than they offer. I've realized that true relationships are reciprocal. They don't drain you, they nourish you. Some of the deepest lessons about relationships came from pain. They broke my trust, disrespected my loyalty, and sometimes took my kindness. For granted, these experiences left scars, of course, but they also taught me invaluable lessons, how to set boundaries, how to recognize red flags, and above all, how to value my own well-being. Now I carefully choose where to invest my time and energy. I prefer to be around people who uplift me, not those who bring me down. Still, sometimes I feel a pang of nostalgia for the bonds that have faded. There are friends who were like siblings, but are now just memories. There are family members whose paths have diverged from mine. It's bittersweet to look back, can recall those connections, but I've learned to appreciate them for what they were. Precious moments that helped shape who I am today. About trust and relationships as we age. Trust and relationships become something more complex. We begin to see more clearly who deserves our vulnerability and who does not. I have learned that trust is not something given easily. It is something built brick by brick and must be valued as one of the most precious treasures of life. At 65. I do not seek quantity, but quality. It's not about having many friends or being surrounded by people, but about having those few people you can truly count on. And that is one of the greatest blessings that the years teach us. The world seems different. Now at 70, the world I live in today seems completely different from the one I grew up in. It's not just the frantic pace of life that has changed, it's the way we connect with each other. Sometimes I look around and wonder, where has the simplicity and warmth of human connections gone? I remember a time when neighbors were like an extension of our family. We knew everyone by name, visited each other unannounced, often to share a cup of coffee or simply to talk. There was no need to ask for help. It came naturally. Families gathered, often not out of obligation, but for the simple pleasure of being together. There was a sense of belonging that flowed effortlessly today. Everything seems so rushed. People are always busy chasing something. Whether success, recognition, or just trying to keep up with the demands of modern life, visits have become rare, meetings less frequent, and even conversations seem rushed, as if we are all competing against an invisible clock. Technology and the lost connection technology, with all its benefits, has played a role in this distancing. Don't get me wrong. I am grateful to be able to video call my grandchildren or stay in touch with old friends through social media, but at the same time, I can't help but feel that these screens have created barriers between us. Nothing replaces physical presence. The warmth of a face-to-face conversation, the tones of voice we only hear up close, The small gestures that don't cross a screen, the incessant notifications, the news updates, and the endless scrolling through social media leave me tired. Sometimes it feels like the world has become louder and paradoxically more lonely. There are moments when all I want to do is turn off the phone, step away from all that noise, and find peace in the silence of my own thoughts, a shift in values. Moreover, the values of today's world often seem far from what I was taught to value. I grew up with the importance of things like honesty, kindness, and community. I'm not saying that these values have completely disappeared, but they're harder to find amidst the noise of self-promotion and constant competition. I miss the simplicity of the past, not because I resist change, but because I miss the depth of genuine human connections. Relationships used to be more solid, less transactional. People weren't constantly distracted, and there was a silent understanding that shared time was precious. Reflections on the past and the present, still. I recognize that nostalgia can soften the colors of the past, painting it more beautifully than it perhaps was. Life was never perfect, and every era had its challenges. But as the world moves forward at its speed, I find myself inclined to step back. It's not out of bitterness, but from a desire to hold on to what still seems true and meaningful today. I value more what brings me closer to the essential, authentic conversation moments of silence and connections that truly touch the soul in the end. That's what makes life rich. No matter how the world around us changes, solitude isn't loneliness. In my younger years, I believed that being alone meant being lonely. The idea of spending an evening by myself felt unbearable, as though solitude was something to avoid at all costs. But as time passed, I learned that solitude isn't something to fear. It's something to cherish. There's a profound difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness feels like emptiness, a longing for connection that seems just out of reach. Solitude, on the other hand, is a fullness, a quiet contentment in your own company. At 70, some of my happiest moments come from simply being still, letting the world fade into the background and embracing the beauty of the present, finding joy in simple pleasures, in solitude. I've rediscovered the joy of life's simplest pleasures, sitting by the window with a warm cup of tea, watching the birds flit around the feeder, feeling the sun's warmth on my face during a morning walk, listening to the crackle of a fire on a cold evening. These moments may seem small, but they bring a profound sense of peace unmatched by any crowded room or bustling event. Solitude has become my retreat, a place where I can pause, breathe, and truly savor life's quiet, beauty, reflection, and growth in solitude. This quiet time has also allowed me to reflect memories surface not as regrets, but as lessons and moments of gratitude in the stillness. I've made peace with things I once struggled to understand. It's not about withdrawing from life, but about prioritizing the connections and experiences that bring genuine joy. I still light up when I see my grandchildren's faces catch up with old friends or contribute to causes that matter to me. However, I no longer feel the need to say yes to every invitation or keep up relationships that drain me. Solitude has taught me to value my own company and appreciate the relationships that remain. Choosing solitude, finding strength. Solitude teaches you to love yourself in a way that external validation never could. It reminds you that your worth isn't tied to how many people surround you or how full your calendar looks instead. It's in those quiet moments when you realize you're enough just as you are. At 70, I've come to understand that solitude isn't a sign of loneliness. It's a sign of strength. It's the choice to step away from the noise, protect your peace, and focus on what truly matters in that choice. I found a happiness that is deeper and more enduring than I ever imagined. Thoughts of 70 Life's Most Valuable Lessons. Reaching 70 has brought me clarity about what truly matters. Life isn't about how much you accomplish or acquire. It's about the quality of what you hold close, the moments you savor, the connections you nurture, and the inner peace you cultivate. These are the treasures that define a fulfilling life. I found joy in simplicity, strength and solitude and fulfillment in focusing on what truly counts. This stage of life isn't about chasing after more. It's about embracing enough. It's about protecting the peace you've worked so hard to find and choosing what aligns with your heart. The power of protecting your peace. Avoiding people isn't an act of bitterness. It's an act of self-preservation after years of giving, learning, and sometimes hurting. I've realized that protecting my peace is essential. It's okay to let go of what drains you and hold on to what fills you with joy. If you're walking a similar path, know this: it's perfectly okay to choose what feels right for you. Life at this stage is about embracing your authentic self and finding contentment in ways that resonate with your spirit, living authentically. This chapter of life is ours to write, and the beauty lies in the freedom to create it, however we choose, whether that means spending quiet afternoons in solitude, deepening connections with those who truly matter, or reflecting on the lessons life has taught. The choice is yours. Here's to living authentically, savoring the present moment, and finding happiness in the now. What about you? I'd love to hear from you. What's one lesson life has taught you that you plan to embrace? How will you apply it to live more fully and authentically? Let's support and inspire one another on this journey toward meaningful living. If this resonated with you, leave a comment with a 1. If not, feel free to comment with a 0. Your feedback matters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more reflections and insights. Thank you for being part of this journey. Here's to living life on your own terms.